These are the plaintiffs, Angelina and Stephen Jacobs. Angelina says she and her husband entered into a lease agreement to rent an apartment in a house the defendant owned. And the woman failed to inform them of some disturbing news. Seems a registered pedophile lives next door. And considering she has 2 small children, that was unacceptable. They decided they didn't want to live there. The defendant didn't seem to care about their concerns, and they are now suing her for the return of their $4,500. This is the defendant, Jasmine Rios. She says the plaintiff should have checked to see if a sex offender lived on the same street as her house, because there are sex offenders everywhere. She's sorry, but she doesn't feel she owes the plaintiffs a thing, because it's a let the buyer beware society we live in, and they should have done some fact-checking. She's accused of rubbing tenants the wrong way.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket. The plaintiffs were going to rent an apartment from the defendant, but learned a pedophile lived next door. She has 2 kids, so she wants her money back. But the defendant says it's the plaintiff's job to check if sex offenders live there. It's the case of silence is not golden.
Thank you, Douglas. Angelina Jacobs and Stephen Jacobs, you are suing Jasmine Rios for $4,500. Double your rent and double security that you paid to her that she refuses to return. You did not end up moving in. Tell me what happened.
Well, we were searching for an apartment for ourselves and our children to move into, and we came across an apartment that was interesting. And when I, went down, I seen the listing agent was a friend of mine. So I contacted him and I let him know that I was interested in this apartment. So he was telling me that he'll let me view it. So I did view the apartment and I informed him that we were interested. So he told me he'd like me to meet Miss Rios at first because she had, a rocky past with tenants, and because she'd be actually living on the premises as well on the first floor unit. So it was, unclear to me. And the only thing that we had that was needed to be said to her was that we had dogs. So on January 29th, that's when we went ahead and met with Miss Rios, and we were told to bring in cash the amount for our deposit, which was $22.50. As well, she asked us to bring our dogs.
And the $22.50 represented what?
The rent was $11.25 and $25 extra for our dog, so which was $11.50.
Okay. So it would be first month and security?
Yes.
Okay.
So
And she wanted you to bring your dog?
Yes.
Okay.
One of them, because we weren't allowed to bring both of them. So we had to choose a dog, and we actually sold our dog, and that still bothers me now because that was it's our dog.
Why don't you just find a different apartment?
It was it was it's the 29th. We were down to the wire. Our other lease was up. We wanted to move. So it was definitely a rock and a hard place type of situation. So like I said, we did meet with her on the 29th. She as well has 2 dogs that we were meeting, and I actually brought a picture of her dog. She wanted our dogs to meet as well as our children. She wanted to see the size of our dog. So we did do that. As soon as we brought our dog in, we have a poodle, which was basically the same exact size as her Shih Tzu that she has. And her other dog, which I don't know the breed of it, but it has one eye, literally scary thing to look at, came out of nowhere barking like crazy, trying to eat my dog. I had my 3 children with me, ages 10, 7, and 3, got so scared. They just jumped up and started crying. It was like mayhem in the kitchen.
So you couldn't wait to give her the deposit? I mean, that sounds like a horrible situation. Why would you give her the deposit?
I just kept reiterating, why are we doing this? Why do the dogs have to meet? That was basically strike one, as far as this might not work. But I was trying to find the good out of it and say, for the best interest of our family, we're trying to move forward. Then it came down to keys. She gave us 5 keys. Mind you, there's only 2 doors.
Did you sign a lease?
Yes, we ended up signing the lease.
May I see a copy of the lease?
I actually provided it, but I don't have the copy.
Do you have a copy of the lease, Ms. Rios?
Yes.
May I have it?
So,
okay, go on.
We went ahead and we were reading. She was going over okay, no smoking, the not having the dogs, the 25 monthly fee to
okay, I got
the
it.
dogs,
And then so what happens? You don't move in. Why?
We say that again.
You signed the lease.
We signed the lease, and she gave us the 5 keys, and we went home. It was probably around 9 o'clock at night. we've been start talking about it. I'm like, with this and then this, and we're like talking about all the other extra stipulations. Then we did a search, and we did see that there was a pedophile that lived next door. And
Wait, stop. A pedophile lived next door.
yes, registered sex offender.
How did you find that out?
Google search for sex offender registry, which I usually do conduct, and I conducted that.
Why didn't you conduct it before you signed the lease?
I really,
you have
to
a
be
phone.
honest,
You have a smartphone?
yes.
Okay.
To be honest, I did feel I was in the hands of a friend who was the realtor, and also I did feel that I was pressured because of the simple fact that they kept saying, "Oh, make sure you bring cash, and you have to meet her," and this, and they were charging.
Okay, was he
throwing
with you?
things. Yes, he was.
Who's he?
My husband.
Do you talk?
Yes.
Smart man. He's just let her do her thing, So you folks decide what?
Well, at the time, after signing the lease, we went home and kind of, she couldn't sleep about it. She kept bothering me about it. Not saying it in a bad way, but, she opened my eyes to basically what was going on in her head, and stuff started to add up. So I said, it's less than 24 hours. Maybe,
How did it occur to you guys to check out the database for sex offenders?
I usually do. I always do.
Every time you look at an apartment, you do?
Yes, I actually, where we lived before this, we lived there for 6 years. There was no case of that. So
The thing that I question and, marinate this a little in your head while I give the floor to her is I have to make sure that is really the reason and not that we're looking at all these restrictions and starting to get the heebie-jeebies about the one-eyed dog and whatever else or I found a better place or all that. Ms. Rios, when she calls you, when does she call you?
She called me the following day, I believe.
It was the following day. And what does she say?
She said, we changed our mind and we don't want the apartment, and if you're home, I'll go right now to pick up.
Did she
the
say
deposit.
why?
Yes, and actually the story that she just said is not the story that she told me.
Okay.
She told me it was because a sex offender that she personally knows lives down the street, not next door, and it was somebody that personally offended her as a little girl, and that's why he's on the sex offenders list.
So whose job is it, the landlord to tell or the tenant to check?
The tenant to check.
Really? What do you think?
I agree, the tenant to check.
One more.
I think so too. Yeah, if they really care about it, they should probably check it.
Fair enough. Going inside the courtroom.
I told her, I understand that I, do feel bad, but she should have checked that before she decided to sign the lease.
Did you know anything that she was saying?
No.
This was news to you?
Yeah.
Do you have the printout from the computer?
it's a screenshot.
Oh, yeah, the screenshot. So
actually,
let me,
hold on.
just hand me the screenshot. So you say to her, if you're going to do research, do it before you sign a contract.
Yes.
Now, did you re-rent it?
Yes.
When did you re-rent it?
April 1st.
So
Well,
it was
April 4th.
empty for February and for March?
Yes.
Did you ever do one of those checks? Because you live there. Do you live there with children?
No, I don't have any children, but I've been living there since 2010. I bought the house, and no, it never crossed my mind.
Did you have that screenshot you said? The screenshot of the actual
No,
sex
I
offense?
don't have that one.
You don't have the very thing that is the reason why you're trying to get out of a lease?
Actually, that, like I said, I don't want everything to hang in the balance about the pedophile. It's everything. It's not just the pedophile, but that was definitely a big piece of evidence that I should have had, but I don't have that paper on me right now. I'm sorry. And that sucks for me.
Oh, it does. That's what we call, that's a legal term of art, sucks for you, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, because then you're just another person in the exact, well, actually, let me just say a couple things. First of all, you signed a contract, and when you sign a contract, it means something. There's no 24-hour grace period on signing a lease. I don't know where you got that from. You then go home, and I'm having a little bit of trouble with the concept that you always check the sex offender, because if that was true, you would have been doing that from your phone while you were there, and you wouldn't have given her the money. So let's say. I'm also having trouble because when I've just asked you for it, you're not even able to show me. I thought you said you had a screenshot of it so I could actually see what you're saying. I'm a mother.
Yes.
I understand that. But her defense, it sounds callous, and she seems kind of cold when she says, well, I guess you should have looked into that sooner. She's absolutely 100% legally correct, because this is public record that you can do just putting in a few clicks. So I hate to do this. You're a lovely couple with 3 kids, and I feel bad for you, but you guys tied my hands when you signed the contract and then changed your mind. Where did you end up?
We stayed where we live.
Oh.
We stayed. We had to do so much to stay there, though. We had to, reinstate and borrow money when we sold our dog. That was
You
a
couldn't
little
get your
bit.
dog back?
No, we could
Oh, what a
not.
shame.
I really don't. That
I know.
bothers me.
I know, and I feel bad for you, but you are just as bound by a contract that you sign as anybody else is by a contract that sign.
Mm-hmm.
And again, if you had any evidence that she had rented it out in February, but you can't sign a contract saying I'm taking it, and then she's out 2 months of rent. You can't, because you're the one who's legally obligated on it. You don't have to pay April through the rest of your lease because she got somebody else there and
Well,
she's not
I
going to get
did
double
look
rent.
into it, and they said that it has to be listed, it has to be shown, and that if they found someone that
I agree with you that if someone says it took me 6 months to re-rent it, I'd say, oh, well, you weren't trying very hard. But she's got a realtor. She paid a realtor, and the realtor's the one talking to you, right?
Yeah, but he's not too
Not
shabby.
a good realtor.
No,
Okay.
no.
Sorry,
Seriously.
honey.
He's
You're
a
out
friend.
of gas. There's
He's
nothing
a friend
I
of
can
both
do
of
for you.
ours.
My verdict in this case is for the defendant.
So the defendant prevails in this case. Mr. and Mrs. Jacobs are on their way out of the courtroom. Boy, the lack of evidence killed you here. If you had that screenshot, you may have won.
I know, I have it, but it's not. I had deleted so many pictures.
Oh, what a shame. And you had to sell a dog?
Yes, I missed
How could you do that?
I know.
That's terrible. A lot of people are cringing to hear that. I'm so sorry for you. This is a tough
We
lesson.
still see him, though, so we still have contact with the dog. So.
Okay, good. I hope
Not
he's
all lost.
okay.
He's
Good
all right.
enough.
Thank you.
All right, our officer's waiting for you to sign some documents now. Ms. Rios is on her way out of the courtroom. Well, congratulations. You look happy.
I am.
You are. Okay. Thank you very much. That's
Thank
about
you.
it. Okay, you're lucky. Harvey?
Doug, the fact is, it is the tenant's duty because all of this is public record.